Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the Mad King from up the mountains. This is the king that you know and love the most in these days. King Kman here live in the Kman's laboratory. Yeah. Today on the real in reality, we'll be talking about something I kind of learned the past couple of weeks that since I've been back, since I've been returned from the long voyage of a year. Something that I learned recently. Like what's the difference between relationships and situationships? I was like, situationships. I had never heard of that before. But I felt like today it was those kind of day to talk about that. You know, there's a lot of people having mental health struggles with dealing with people and their loved ones and trying to see how everything's holding together. But then you have to really think, like, how did it ever came about? Was this all about love? Was this all about lust? Was it all about the sex? Was it always about companionship? What is the difference between relationships and situationships? But of course, we'll talk about, the song I provided for today, a little 50 Cent out there for my New Yorkers out here. New Yorkers out there, you know what I'm saying? Not need to make fun of y'all, but, I went to Brooklyn. I went to Brooklyn like a couple of times. I like Brooklyn. It kind of reminds me of Chicago a little bit. So we're gonna talk about "Do You Think About Me" by 50 Cent. I'm just gonna point out the second verse of his song. The first verse don't really point out to me like that. It goes out like this, right? I think like a hustler. I'm thinking about the shipment. She thinking I'm her husband, so she's thinking about commitment. She's thinking that, right? Because she noticed how your moves are. You know what I'm saying? Like she trying to understand what you like. How you flow. You know what I'm saying? Like what is your purpose of life and how you keep going as you're going, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with that because most women kind of like that. Most women like to sit back and watch the man do his thing, and then that's where the attraction, the love, blah blah blah. That roars them to be like, damn, I'm glad I'm with this person, or maybe in thinking about it, like, damn, maybe I want to be with that person forever, blah blah blah. And sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes they just want to peep your move and just be like, sounds good now, but what about 5, 10 years, something like that. Anyway, it's like Paul McCartney stuck in my mind, falling in love with a bitch, walked away with one leg. She ain't even have to run, get away with the bread. Now that's some fucked up shit. Think about that kid. So in a way, it's like when she's peeping your moves, you notice that, and you notice that she haven't left, or you know what I'm saying, she haven't she haven't distanced herself to the point where like it's obvious. So clearly she's locked eyes, she locked ears, locked everything. Her whole mindset is locked on you, and you just thinking like, shit. Once you get it, you can get it. And then sometimes it just be like, like when it says she ain't have to run to get away with the bread. Now that's fucked up shit. Now think about the kid. She probably made him fall in love, made him fall in love. I have to say that again because people don't understand that sometimes. Fall, you can make somebody fall in love, but are you in love with them? That's the question. She didn't have to do all that to get the bread, but she still did it. She didn't have to lure you into sex, and then she realized, nah, you wouldn't it. You wouldn't it. Maybe she didn't like how you was moving in bed, but she liked how you moving in the paperworks to get that money. He just got money and he ain't flowing in the bedroom. Hey, some people can take offense to it, but that's how some people think. It's not all women that think that, or not men. Just sometimes that's what happens in the situation. Like I said, in this particular scenario, it sounds like a uh, situationship where everything sounds good, but they only going for their true intentions until like maybe they can be like, okay, I can commit to it, you know. Uh, moving on. Thinking what I'm thinking what this bitch thinking when she takes me to court. I pay my child support. What the fuck she want? This relationship shit is too much for me. I want to fuck your friends and live comfortably. She want to shine and blow minds on shopping sprees. She should have what she wants, just not for me. In that scenario, that's basically saying like everything sounds good until she don't like certain things and where it becomes a pet peeve, right? And it means like, you know, at that point where it said like, think about the kid. So you already had the kid, you already impregnated her and she already run a child in the world, right? But she's not into the family stuff, you know what I'm just saying? Like she thought about commitment, but didn't put a ring. No one didn't put a ring on it, right? And and then she thought like maybe having a kid will make things put together, which some people think like that. They're like, the relationship not going well. Maybe if I could have a kid, then it could go better because now you got to take care of not only one person, but two people or three people. Really, three people because it's three people in your life. You have to count yourself in that scenario. So, um, and it says that you pay child support. What the fuck she wants? She just want more. She just want more money. She's not even thinking about the relationship no more. Because at one point it was, then it turned into a situationship. Like, well, here's the situation. Well, we thought we was on some shit, but now we ain't on some shit. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much how that goes. And then she's using your money that was supposed to be for the child to go on shopping sprees and basically do whatever she wants because she doesn't care. You know. Um, and then the thing was like y'all can always start out as friends, to get to know each other and everything. But even the friendships can turn into a situationship where you kind of like supporting them in their time of need, and then it just turned into something, and then it turned into maybe love on one side and then a mistake on the other, or vice versa, or it could just be love at both sides, and or it was just that one time of grief that a person needed, blah blah blah, right? That's what I'm thinking from this scenario. um but yeah, that's what in that aspect, that's what I really want to focus on this verse of song for Do You Think About Me by 50 Cent. Now let's talk about, okay, what is really the difference between a relationship and a situationship. So according to Google, because that's what we like to do. We like to Google, right? A situationship may be seen as a lovership with a basis of friendship, but without conversation about a future togetherness. While a relationship, well, like it has it's like a relationship basically, but it doesn't have the boundaries. Like there's no communication of boundaries anywhere. It's just like more of a fuck it situation. Like, you know, oh, we can go do this. And then we could just, just chill in the crib. And then be like, all right, cool. And then next thing you know, y'all just in bed, and then some other stuff just happened. It could be alcohol was in the system, who knows? And then it's just like, well, hey, we already here. Fuck it. Fuck it. That's basically that scenario. That's a situation ship. to be to be like that, right? But here's another definition for it. Is a unidentified relationship where partners go with the flow and don't label things, right? Often they don't discuss their futures, their intermingles with families or friends, or have traditional dates. It is very present focused and can often be based on their current situation. By the psychologist uh, Pauliette Pauliette Sherman, right? So, I mean, it said it right there in the definition. Like, it's really just going with the flow. It's a fucking situation. You know, it's a thing, but not a thing. You know, we just wing it or not wing it. You know, like it's a way to play safe, but then it's not because anything can happen, and then without communication, it's just like, oh well, oh well, oh well. Like no one cares about nobody's feelings unless unless it's like in a physical way. Then of course you got to deal with the reaction of how a person feels and other things like that in that nature. But even with that, it still end up being a fucking situation. So that's what I think about that. Now, what's the difference? What is a relationship? Right? Relationship by definition, the way the way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected, or the state of being connected, or the state of being connected by blood or marriage, right? Uh, in way in the way in which two or more people or group regard and behave towards each other. So, a relationship is still involved in connection, link, um, cooperation. But within cooperation, right? What does that mean? It means you have to communicate. Communication is key to a relationship. A situationship does not require a communication. It's just a fucking moment. Relationships, you can't just say fuck it. You gotta think about the time. You gotta think about the person, and their feelings. Feelings, guys. Feelings, right? You gotta think about their personalities, what they do and do not like about certain things, certain topics, certain words. That's a real relationship. Even if it's a friendship, you know, like some is just strictly friendship. And it's like there's the line basically. There is a line when it comes to a relationship. When it comes to a situationship, there is no line. Like there is no line for that. Like there's no rules. This is a hardcore match scheduled for one fall. Okay. relationship. This is a singles contest with the rules still intact, 20-minute limit kind of shit. And yes, I'm referencing goddamn WWE matches. I don't give a fuck. I'm a fucking fan. Anyway, um that's really what this is about. This is really about basically boundaries. And whether you say you give a fuck and whether you not say give a fuck. Like, is it really a friendship? Is it really a true marriage if there is a situationship? Like, I personally, I don't know. But then again, thinking about it, if it was in a marriage situation, right? However, the story is told from either side, you have to understand, okay, every story has a beginning of how, how they came about, how they either be friends or they just started dating, and then, something happened, right? The plot, something happened, and then you either come into that person's grief or you came in at the right opportunity. um Not when they're not vulnerable, but where, like, when you think that the time is right, and it's just like, yeah, mm, now you think you got them, but then they still chasing other people to try to get to a relationship, and now it's turned to a situationship where, like, okay, you want that person, but then you can't have them because they don't want to be in a relationship at the time, so you just settle with, okay, let's just be whatever, or we just be friends. That's where the line starts. Like, it starts when you have to decide whether you want to communicate with that person, say you want to be with this in this status with that person, or you just don't say nothing and then you just go with whatever flow y'all decide to go on, and then whenever the time comes, and then you just have to be right there at that right time, then bam, booms the banzel, you're good. You're good. You're in the pocket. If you can maneuver your way in there, and then she ain't got no more problems or he ain't got no more problems, the hood is good. Basically, the hood is good, right? But in a relationship, if the marriage is a real relationship, of course you'll have time for them. You always make time for them. Marriage is two people into one, right? You can't just only worry about yourself anymore. You got to worry about your other behalf. You got to worry about her happiness. You got to worry about his happiness. You got to worry about your own happiness. You got to worry about, okay, what does that person keep them sane? What's making them happy? What's making them live another day? You know, and you also got to think, okay, when they do good things, do they get rewarded? Right? Because some people, they work so hard to the point where they don't think they need to be rewarded, and then they be so frustrated that they never got rewarded in the first place, and then you just stuck there, like, why, why? And then you wondering why the relationship is even torn apart because you never communicate that. Really, with a marriage, you also have to communicate everything, almost everything. You also gotta, and then I mean, it's not like a regret thing to communicate with that person that you love, right? But it's just like, you also have to discuss them to tell them that, like, you can fuck with them, but then you need to worry about yourself. But then you have the balance of both worlds. You have to understand, like, okay, I got enough time to do this, do that, do that. Okay, I need a break. And then that person can either understand it and work with you with that, or they just not gonna fuck with it. Period. Um, but that's really like that's why I really think that the difference between a situationship and a relationship, it really is. It's really about that initial line. Why do I mean line all the time? Like why does the Kman always say that line? Because that line has a representation of you setting boundaries, and that is you setting a standard for yourself and for others that may or may not follow with you to make that step, to make that line for your relationships, for your goals in life, for your legacy that you set behind for your children. You're everything. Some people don't understand that, but that's why I reiterate that because you know, because most people don't do that. They just think like, you know, life just goes about and you can't do nothing about it, or you seem like, you just fall into praise of others and you just going with the flow. No, it don't work like that. And unless you're personally cool with just going with the flow and just like being in a situationship, that is fine. There's already a place for you for that. But you can't just try to do that with another person that wants to be with you, like singly be with you, in at least an American term, since we're not talking about uh, polygamy, right? We talk about monogamy, right? That's what it really is, like a whole relationship. Got a whole communication just for one person. You only got to deal with one person that wants you and is a big fan of you and rather not change that for the world. In a situationship, anything can go. Anything can happen. It's a false count anywhere. Anything can happen. You can get it one day and another dude get it in another day. Polygamy, right? Is she gonna stay stuck with you? That's up to her. If you are you gonna be the bigger person to be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get another person too. But are you gonna stay stuck with her? It's a lot of decision making between those two. That's why I say it's a little bit complicated, but yeah, it really is. Um, and then lastly, is we just talk about at the end of the day, at the end of the day, is it really love or is it really the sign of lust, like the sin of lust? My bad. I mean, it just all depends on the situation. It all depends on the relationship. Yeah, all of it can be love, but it's the way the person showed the love, showed the lust. I mean, really, it all depends on how they show it. They can't just show it any old way, because it's not okay to do that. Like some people show love, but they show love in violence. You can't do that. It's not a relationship. That's just fucking abusive, right? We don't approve of that. So it's really about if you really want to connect with that person, it's really about love at the end of the day. You put the thought of talking to them, right? You put the thought in your mind, like, okay, maybe I should talk to them for today. Make sure they all right, you know, or maybe today I'll take her out on a date. We haven't had a date in a while. You put thought into it. That's already a first step of love, right? Or it could be the sign of lust, where it'd be like, all right, she's toying with me. Maybe if I treat her real nice, give take her out on a date. You know what I'm saying? Get them one of them sweet ass drinks. The pink Moscato and everything. You know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, I'm in it. I'm in the bag. Now, do I call her the next day? No telling about that one right there. But that's really something that you have to think about when dealing with a relationship or you dealing with a Situationship. This is the King Kman signing off, homies and homiettes. If you would, if you could, go to YouTube and subscribe to Kman's Productions. This was off of this podcast. It will go straight into YouTube. Uh, and then you know what I'm saying, everything could be followed. If you don't have Spotify, or you just borrow Spotify from somebody else and you just want to hear for yourself, that's fine. And also, when you are while are you on YouTube, subscribe to Chi-Town Gamers. Okay, we are at let me take a look at my phone here. Oh man, our subscribers is getting bigger. Oh my god, we are at 311 subscribers. We're metro booming. So please, and very please, subscribe to us in Shottown Gamers with me and Kirsten the Kid, and we'll keep rocking it, here on Earth like normal. But then, you know, like I said, the hood will be the hood. But today is a good day. All right, you guys have a great day. I'll see you next week. Cayman